大家好，欢迎观看另一个视频。
As you already know, Donald J. Trump will be taking office pretty soon. Very soon. It's just January the 19th when the new year turns over. And there's two things I'm interested at when that happens, even though I don't live in America. Number one was how, if you remember, Legal Eagle has sent a Freedom of Information request to look at the criminal investigation done on Trump and, what was uncovered. However, when he does become president, he will literally pick up that little funny box of evidence and burn them away, because who's gonna stop him? You? And the second thing I'm interested in seeing is that supposed ban of TikTok that will take place, where it will no longer be up in the US. Because, to give a quick recap of what happened, the Senate, or the Supreme Court, whatever, back in March of last year, they were perplexed by what the fuck TikTok does with our personal info. So they brought in the CEO of TikTok and just fucking lashed them live on TV for like an hour or two.
The Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people.
Senator, anyone, including, you can come into
Yes, sir.
TikTok
Yes, sir.
and talk
Yes,
about
sir.
this topic
I'm asking you,
or
yes,
any
or no.
topic.
You are-
Then, back in April of this year, the Senate passed a ban where if ByteDance, the parent company, couldn't sell TikTok to an American firm, they would just outright be banned in the country because they really can't trust them. So they had a deadline up to January, nearly a full year. And since then, yeah, of course, nothing has happened. When have you ever seen a company hand over a multi-billion subsidiary being like, oh yeah, fair enough, we'll sell it, we won't contest it, that's fine, don't worry about it. Now that's going to be on January 19th, a day before Trump comes to office. But we got a big bit of news which could actually affect the course of where this ends up, because now Trump is in talks of delaying the ban of TikTok until later. Because with how close it is, pretty soon, on 19th, he wants to push the deadline just a tiny bit more back. I know I'm putting on a bit of a voice, but part of me, always did expect it banned to never reach a deadline. Even the most out-of-touch person can admit that TikTok is a huge part of the online culture of the country, where if it suddenly, went away, anybody could fill the void. But anyways, I want to use this article because there was a mention of a hearing between the Senate and ByteDance on January the 10th. So, potentially a second chance for them to walk in and be like, listen, you're all just a bunch of geriatrics. US President-elect Donald Trump has asked the US Supreme Court to delay an upcoming TikTok ban while he works on a political resolution. His lawyer filed a legal brief on Friday with the court that says Trump opposes banning TikTok and seeks the ability to resolve these issues at hand through political means once he takes office. On 10th of January, the court is due to hear arguments on a US law that requires TikTok's Chinese owner, ByteDance, to sell the social media company to an American firm or face a ban come 19 January, a day before Trump takes office. US officials and lawmakers had accused ByteDance of being linked to the Chinese government, which the firm denies. Those allegations of an app that has 170 million users in the US led Congress to pass a bill in April, which President Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, signed into law that included the vest or ban requirement. TikTok and ByteDance have filed multiple legal challenges against the law, arguing that it threatens the American free speech protections with little success. With no potential buyer materializing so far, the company's final chance to derail the ban has been via the American High Court. While the Supreme Court has previously declined to act on a request for an emergency injunction against the law, it agreed to allow TikTok, ByteDance, and the US government to plead the case on 10th January, just days before the ban is due to take effect. Yeah, that was one thing. I think, if this delay by Trump, God bless Trump, if that wasn't in place, that would have been really fucked. The idea of having a court hearing or an argument on the 10th of January, and then, for the verdict to be reached in 9 days, yeah, that seems pretty fucked. Because then they could be like, oh, we're looking at the evidence. And past a week later, they're like, oh, sorry, it was a pretty good argument, but we haven't reached a verdict just yet. So the ban is still in place. Goodbye. Also, by the way, if I'm going to pause now, I might as well bring up, one thing I looked up before for this article or for this video, because I want you to know, how hard would it be to sell it? I mean, of course, they would never sell TikTok, because why the fuck would they? But if they did, how much could, they profit off it? And most of the value does come from the algorithm, but, altogether a nice package, it was estimated, at least back in April of this year, to be around $100 billion, like an insane amount of money to just hand over, take it for yourself, put in your pocket. Also, by the way, I will say now, how fucked was this back then in April, where like people actually mentioned, likely suitors would be Microsoft, Oracle, and Walmart. Yeah, like even then, even now, I could never see that happening. No way. But anyways, to get back on track, Trump had met with TikTok CEO, however you pronounce it, at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida last week. In his court filing on Friday, Trump said that the case represents an unprecedented, noble, and difficult tension between free speech rights on one side and foreign policy and national security concerns on the other. While the filing said that Trump takes no position on the underlying merits of the dispute, the opportunity to pursue a political resolution to the matter without having to resort to the court. The U.S. Justice Department argued that alleged Chinese links to TikTok present a national security threat, and multiple state governments have raised concerns over the popular social media app. The nearly 2 dozen state attorneys general, led by Montana's Austin Nunson, how you say it, have urged the Supreme Court to uphold the law compelling ByteDance and TikTok to divest or be banned. Early in December, a federal appeals court rejected an attempt to overturn the legislation, saying it was the combination of extensive bipartisan action by the Congress and successive presidents. Trump has publicly said he opposes the ban, despite supporting one in his first term as president. I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points, he claimed at a press conference early in December. Although a majority of young voters backed his opponent, Kamala Harris, there are those that say TikTok has something to do with that, he added. Man, that's really funny to me. The idea that Trump wants to pay back all those kids for voting for him, be like, okay, I'll get you that TikTok that all you kids love. However, one thing that I want you to talk about when reading all those mentions about another hearing is that it's really hard for me, to shake off the feeling that it would be as bad, really bad, as the first one last year, where every single person acted like they had an enemy of the state in the court, and none of them could get a basic grasp of how shit like hashtag, filters, or even the Wi-Fi just simply work. I don't really know a lot about these court hearings, but I imagine they could just hand over the most clear-cut, easily understandable evidence ever, and even then that won't be enough to make the Senate believe it. And by the way, I'm not a tech bro. I'm sure that TikTok does use your data to some degree, but to the extent of, having it banned in a country, yeah, I don't know, that don't make a lick of sense to me. Will I cover that in another video at some point where the verdict is reached? Yeah, I might actually, because even if I don't live in the US, so either way, it won't affect me directly. That country is the biggest demographic for TikTok, so ripples will be felt if the biggest consumer base is just gone. And to be honest, I don't want to be the guy in this picture, but not a single company in the world would sell an asset like TikTok. It's not like Amazon or Microsoft back when they were starting out a small garage and it had a sort of prospect. No. Anybody can recognize how big it is and how much bigger it will be later in the future. And although $100 billion is a really, really hefty amount, the long-run investment of just having it is clearly the best option. And I bring that up because the ultimatum for ByteDance really is just that dumb. For an average person, yeah, the proposing is as easy as selling it, but from my small perspective, that should be the equivalent of hacking off a limb. But again, it's a bit foolish to predict the future of one of the biggest social media platforms when an event like this hearing is coming up pretty soon and the verdict has not yet been decided. Regardless, potentially looking back, I think Donald J. Trump might have just saved TikTok. Just maybe.